They come from far-off places to this lonely land and bring with them their many dreams, the ones that make the way, the ones that make the way. And with these many dreams they build a world for all to share, with a tomorrow and a place to live. The ones that make the way, the ones that make the way. Sometimes the grass was green, the earth was rich, and there were streams, but often it wasn't so, and they wondered where they should go. But time has always told us life is only change, and this is why there'll always be the ones that make the way, the ones that make the way.
Australia's outback in the 19th century. Unknown country. Stretching horizons which drew explorers into the stark centre and onwards to the tropical north. A land burnt by the sun, where water was scarce. Burke and Wills, Leichhardt, explorers who never returned from their fatal journeys to the dry northwest. Though the settlers followed, few remained. Most were beaten by drought, fire, and sometimes flood. Prospectors pushed across the Spinifex hills and found copper. Mines grew up in the Cloncurry area, thousands of miles from the cities in the south, hundreds of miles from the small ports on the coast. Kuradala, Duchess, Mount Elliot, once flourishing copper towns, to become deserted outposts, mines defeated by distance, climate, and low copper prices. In 1923, just 50 years ago, John Campbell Miles found lead deposits in the ranges, not far from the failed copper mines. He named his discovery Mount Isa, a rich ore body which led to the opening up of Queensland's far northwest. But for the first 8 years, Mount Isa seemed doomed. Men lived in shanties plagued by heat and flies, lack of fresh food and water. Toiled underground, struggling to establish a mine based on a difficult deposit whose ores were intractable. Huge sums of money were needed to develop a mine isolated by thousands of miles from cities. Soon, Australian investors shied away from this unrewarding venture. Mount Isa sought capital in London, and the mine was kept alive for a few more years. (1930), the beginning of the Depression. A world shortage of money just when Mount Isa was desperate for capital to survive. New York proved the only source, and once again the mine gained a new lease of life. By this time, nearly $8 million had been spent on the mine and its plant, which as yet had produced no metals. Julius Kruchnet arrived from America in 1930 to take over.
When I arrived in Mount Isa, it was obvious that one of the most needed factors was accommodation for the workers, because I found that many of them were living impossible humpies and shacks along the riverbank. So I thought, well, this is a challenge, really. Thought it was primitive, undeveloped. When we started to produce, the lead price was the lowest in history.
Low metal prices, difficult ores, mounting debts, distant seaports. Mount Isa seemed impossible. But in 1936, this lead, zinc and silver mine made its first profit. Mount Isa survived through the faith of men who toiled in the dust, heat and isolation of the outback.
And this is why it always be as the
The war started and we started to lose employees pretty fast. And we found that we could operate with half the number of employees if we just mined and smelted copper alone.
Australia's shortage of copper during the war provided the stimulus for copper production. At the end of the war, the price of lead soared, and Mount Isa became Australia's burn town. Plans were made to go into large-scale copper production as well as lead. Men's efforts and the millions of dollars poured into Australia's outback were justified.
Julius Critson had done a very grand job under the most difficult circumstances one could imagine. He had developed a large mine in a very remote area. Above all, he built up a great spirit among the people. And I've never known a place that had a better spirit than Mount Isa. It all goes back to his personality and his drive and love of people. So one of the two tasks I had in the earlier years was to continue the program of exploration to determine the ore potential so as to be able to judge the production which could be arrived at.
Tremendous copper deposits were found not far from the first lead mines. Beneath Mount Isa lay unsuspected wealth.
many dreams they build, world for all to share, with a tomorrow and a place to live, the bonds that make the world, the bonds that make the world.
The 1100 copper ore body at Mount Isa is one of the most important, most valuable copper ore bodies yet found in the world. Work is still being carried on proving the southerly extension of this ore body.
The proving of the rich copper ore bodies meant more jobs, expansion, and the application of advanced technology. "170 miles of drives, 90 miles of rail track, thousands of feet underground. Concentrators, smelters, and a workforce of over 5,000. From its small copper output during the war, Mount Isa becomes Australia's largest copper producer. Lead, zinc, silver, copper, a unique variety of ores found together. Mount Isa is the world's largest single lead producer and one of its important metalliferous mines.
With the additional ore reserves and the certainty that Mount Isa mines would operate for a very long time, made it possible to put up a scheme of home ownership as against rental of homes. In 1955, Jim Crooks joined me, and together we set about expanding production at the mine and the expansion of the town.
We have about 8 schools in Mount Isa, and Happy Valley would be one of the more modern. In the class here I'd have Finnish, English, Welsh and Italian students, but in Mount Isa on the whole there'd easily be 40 different nationalities.
But if you learn an orchestral instrument, then you have to play with other people, you have to find other people to play with. And this is what we're trying to start with the children. And of course this should go on into adult life as well.
But as the months went by and I realized that there's so much change in the countryside that's so beautiful as the time of day changes. At noontime it's harsh and dry, angry in a way. As the afternoon goes on, the sun goes lower. There's beautiful colouring, purple hills and distance. The thing that appeals to me most really of it is one moment of the day, which is the afterglow. Everything is beautifully orange and beautifully vivid and only lasts for a few minutes.
In school, during that time, there wasn't much offered in the line of art neither, and there were no art groups in Mount Isa at that time. So I reached back to the things I had learned at home. I came from Eastern Germany where my parents owned an art shop and a studio. And I grew up in all forms of art.
The dry, eroded earth is transformed by water dammed by the company. Birds and animals find sanctuary on Lake Mundara.
And a very good morning to you. Welcome along to the Country Music Show here on a beautiful Saturday morning. Chris on Cala Radio 4LM at 13.5 minutes past 5 o'clock with a couple of good old Slim Dusty songs for you. Don't forget, Rodeo's on again today for another fun-filled day. It's a pretty appropriate kind of a song.
Many nationalities bring variety and vitality to the town. Religions from other lands come together in the far northwest.
Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Padre nuestro que estás en los cielos, santificado sea tu nombre, vénganos tu reino, hágase tu voluntad, así en la tierra como en el cielo. El pan nuestro de cada día.
The heavy gauge railway, rebuilt to carry minerals 600 miles to the coast, is a boon to primary industry. Mount Isa's airport, another service centre in North Queensland's hinterland, a link on the route to the developing north. Townsville, where Copper Refineries, a subsidiary of MIM, creates a stable year-round industry, where once many people depended on seasonal work. A town whose growth has been closely linked with the diversification of Mount Isa mines. Copper refineries, built to refine the extensive copper deposits found in Mount Isa during the 50s, keep pace with increasing output from the mine. A variety of products are marketed in Australia and overseas. Transport, stevedoring, coal mining, subsidiaries of MIM, companies which are part of the economic life of North Queensland. The port of Townsville, mechanised for loading minerals, becomes the major outlet for the north. Crude lead, copper, zinc concentrate earn Australia more than $100 million of export income each year. Since 1931, Mount Isa Mines has shipped its crude lead to England, where the company has its own refinery, Britannia Lead Company. A major refinery in Western Europe producing pure lead, lead alloys and silver. exploration, an important part of all mining companies. Today, MIM prospects in New Zealand, New Guinea, Indonesia, as well as throughout Australia. New Zealand, where geologists search riverbeds and mountains. In New Guinea, copper has already been found, and the search continues for all minerals. Geologists live and work for months far away from cities, testing, evaluating, proving. Brisbane, where MIM Holdings head office serves a company which is now diversifying, but whose strength is still in the far northwest.
Our expansion program at Mount Isa is almost complete, and we're looking for other fields to develop. I attribute our success at Mount Isa to that expansion program. People have had to be creative, they have had to have new ideas, and they've had the opportunity to apply them. MIM has grown through the faith and the loyalty of many people. People with limited skills and people with the highest skills in their trades and professions. Men and women who were prepared to face the challenges and the difficulties of northwest Queensland in the true spirit of Australian pioneers.
They come from far off places to this lonely land and bring with them their many dreams, the ones that make the way, the ones that make the way. And with these many dreams they build a world for all to share, with a tomorrow and a place to live, the ones that make the way, the ones that make the way. Sometimes the grass was green, the earth was rich, and there were streams, but often it wasn't so, and they wondered where they should go. But time has always told us life is only change, and this is why there'll always be the ones that make the way, the ones that make the